Everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the upcoming Marvel Legends 6-inch Captain America Red Onslaught Build-A-Figure Wave Scourge figure. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've been seeing with all the Marvel Legends for 2016. You've got the Build-A-Figure logo at the very top, you've got the Legends series logo, then the figure's clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and then down below you have that Captain America logo. This figure is listed as a Mercenaries of Mayhem, and it shares the same packaging as the Taskmaster figure, which we looked at the other day. So on one side we have artwork for Taskmaster, and then on the other side we have artwork for Scourge. On the back of the packaging we have a look at both figures and a brief bio, and then down below we have a look at all the figures in the Red Skull / Red Onslaught Build-A-Figure wave. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. So here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now first of all, the figure comes with the Red Onslaught left leg Build-A-Figure piece, and we'll be looking at the Red Onslaught figure in full detail in its own review after we finish up looking at the rest of the figures in this wave. So we've got this figure and then one more, and then we'll look at Onslaught. So be sure to check back for that. Okay, so for the figure itself, it comes with 3 different weapons. So it comes with this rifle, which I believe was from the previously released Punisher figure, and it's been repainted in a brown color with some yellow. I don't know why Hasbro chose this strange color, but it definitely looks a little bit off. Never seen a brown gun, but this is from the Punisher figure. Now these, the other 2 is just a pistol and a knife, and I'm sure these have been reused before, but I didn't take the time to track down specifically what figures. But again, these have been painted so that they're brown, and well, the gun is brown with a yellow handle, and then the knife has got a brown handle and a black blade. The knife doesn't look too bad, but the gun and the rifle look a little off with these paint choices. And then they have holsters to hold the figure comes with a holster to hold the pistol on his leg, and then he's also got a place to store the knife on his belt. The rifle you'll either have to hold in his hand. You could kind of probably stick it in this web gear on his, through this web gear if you really wanted to store it on his back. For the figure itself, I think they've done a pretty nice job here. Now this figure primarily incorporates the sculpt from that movie Electro figure that Hasbro did last year for the Spider-Man Marvel Legends line. It took me a while to track it down. I don't actually have that figure, so I can't give you a comparison, but it is primarily, they removed the spikes on the shoulders, but it is basically the same sculpt. New head sculpt, but body sculpt is pretty much the same. Now this web gear that he wears is removable, and that I think might be unique to this figure. I haven't been able to track it down on another figure. I won't swear to it again, and if you recognize it, let me know, but I wasn't able to track it down, so it seems to be unique. And again, it is removable from the figure. And I like the detailing on it. It's just gray, but you've got these shotgun shells, or maybe these are canisters, gas canisters, I'm not sure. But you've got these canisters on the side, and they're done with gold metallic paint, and they've got the little, gray for the little slits that hold them. You've got the silver belt buckles. You've got some more canisters on this side, and then you've got pouches sculpted throughout. And then, as I mentioned before, you got a place to hold the knife on this. He's also got the holster on his leg, which is not removable. It's a separate piece from the figure, but it's not removable. It looks like it's glued on there. For the rest of the figure, overall, pretty nice detailing. I like the mask. I like the red eyes. Pretty true to what we see in the comics. Now, you'll notice, maybe have noticed on the back of the packaging, they list this as Demolition Man. And basically, Demolition Man, this version of Scourge has been several people over the years, and this version is based on when basically Peter Gyrick and Hydra brainwashed D-Man, Captain America, Steve Rogers' friend, into becoming Scourge, and he ends up getting shot by Sharon Carter in the story. But that's why they list him on the back of the packaging, which is a little confusing, I know, because this is technically Scourge. So I don't know why they didn't just list him as such, but that's why. So anyway, the detailing, as I mentioned, this body is the incorporation of that Electro movie figure, but I think it works well for this character and this costume. Paint applications are pretty solid, basically solid black for most of it. Then you got metallic silver here, like on his shoulder pads and on his mask, and you've got some white here in his midsection, and you got a little bit of I don't know why, but it looks like just a silver color here in this one spot on his midsection. They didn't do it on this side. Now you do have some of these things kind of sticking out, which are, you know, from the Electro figure. You see them here on the back, but they don't stand out too much, so I don't really have a big problem with that. And then up here on his head, you can see his ears are exposed, and it looks like his head has been shaved because he's bald, basically. And then, like I said, you got the red eyes, which is pretty cool. Okay, so this figure stands just a little over 6 inches, just a bit under 6¼ inches. And honestly, I think this figure, the one downside of using this mold is probably it makes the figure a little bit small. D-Man was an ex-Superpowers wrestler, and he was a fairly big, bulky guy. So here he is next to the Marvel Now Captain America, and Cap is probably maybe a little hair taller and definitely kind of bigger built. So, you know, again, he's looking a little scrawny. And then here's the classic Cap in this wave of figures, and this classic Cap is definitely bigger. I would say that this mold would have probably been a better choice for a D-Man character than the one they used. And then here's the Taskmaster from this wave, and Taskmaster's a little bit taller. And then Sharon Carter, Agent 13, and she is a bit shorter than Scourge here. Articulation on the figure is pretty good. Head's on a ball hinge joint, so he can look left and he can look right. And he's got some down movement with the head. He really doesn't have any up movement. He can look up about that much, mostly just look straight ahead. He's got standard ball hinge joints at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good, and he's got good rotation there. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got the double hinged elbow. He's got the swivels at the wrists. He's got hinges on the hands, so he's got up and down movement with the hands. He's got the ab crunch joint, so he can only crunch down about that much, and he can look back about that much. He's got the waist swivel. Even with the web gear on, you can still swivel at the waist. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits pretty good. He can get his leg forward about that much, which is pretty good, and he can do his leg. Can't really do his leg back very much. He's got the thigh swivel. He's got a double jointed knee, so good bending at the knee. He's got boot cuff swivel, and then he's got hinges on his feet, but with the way the boots are sculpted, it kind of limits the up and down movement of the feet. And then he does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like the look of this figure. I think they've done a good job of capturing the Scourge look, even though this is a reuse of that Electro body mold. My only complaint with that is it does make him a little bit small for Demolition Man, the Demolition Man version of the character. Now, as a generic Scourge, it doesn't bother me. I think it's a decent size, but as Demolition Man, I think he should be a bit bigger and bulkier. But that's a minor complaint. Otherwise, I think this is a nice looking figure. I like the paint applications. I like the articulation. And the weapons, again, the paint choice for brown and yellow are a little off to me, but I'm sure I can find some better colored weapons for this character. So if you're a fan of Scourge, or if you're just looking for another bad guy for your Captain America to fight, I think this is one you'll definitely want to add to your collection. Now, as I've said before, this wave is not yet out. I don't have a release date yet. I'm guessing the end of this month or sometime next month, but that's purely a guess on my part. I picked this up from an overseas seller so I could review it early for you guys. And when I do have a more firm release date, I'll be sure to let you know either in a future video review or post it up on marvelousnews.com. We'll have a full gallery of images up at Marvelous News. And as always, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.